So, my name is Karen Rollins Fitch, and I want to say thank you for coming and supporting the City of York Human Relations Commission's Diversity Dinner for 2019. Thank you so very much. I am the chair of the commission, and I would like to introduce the other commissioners that are here this evening. Actually, I'm going to name all the commissioners. If you are here and present, we do, I know, have one that's out sick, that nasty stomach bug that's going around, so we thought it would be better that she stay home so that we all don't end up going home with that. So, to start off, Commissioner Jean Buckingham, if you can please stand. And Cheryl Chronister is out sick. Deborah Martinez. Well, where did Deborah just go? She was just here. Okay, so Mommy, remind Deborah that she has to stand up when she comes in. Okay. Commissioner Harold Myers. Commissioner Mark Rhodes. Commissioner Lou Rivera. Commissioner Stan Sexton. Commissioner Julie Swope. I apologize. Commissioner Ken Werthwein. Some of us know him as Dr. Ken. And Commissioner Don Wright. Oh, okay, you have to stand. Thank you. So what I would like to say is thank you to all the commissioners for all your work. And I'm happy to announce that we have a full, complete commission at this time. So, yay. This has truly been years in the making. So thank you, and thank you, Mayor, for all your work in keeping us together. So that is my welcome. Thank you again for attending. And we're going to have a greeting from the Mayor of York, Mayor Helfrich. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming out this evening. And I just wanted to say that, we all here know that diversity is York's strength. But we also know that we have to make sure that York remains a place and gets better as a place where everyone feels welcomed and respected, no matter what their race, class, religion, sexual orientation. We are all equals. And the more that we make sure that people know this, the better a place we are and the more others will want to join us in York. And that's important for all. So I want to thank those of you who have grown up here and have worked for many, many years to ensure the diversity of York. And I also want to thank those that have come to us. I know it's not always easy to become a Yorker, but making York more welcome for everybody is my mission. And I'm glad that I can share that, have so many partners that share that mission also. I just wanted to briefly mention something that is extremely, extremely exciting. I don't know if anybody's going to talk about it this evening, but there is a new effort going on the JCC, the Jewish Community Center, and the YWCA approached me about how we could bring everybody under one roof. Bring all sorts of services that are working to protect people, the LGBTQ community, the Jewish community, the African American community, the Latino. How can we all get under one roof? Imagine that. We work so hard in our own little cubby holes, in corners of buildings somewhere, wherever we can find space. But what if we were all working together? And I started imagining, well, wait a minute. This is what people that are looking for technology innovations do. This is true co-working. This is where you have the synchronicity of everybody working, but being able to not have to call up and not have to set up meetings, but you poke your head around the corner and you say, hey, are you working on something similar to what I'm doing? And we can all work together to improve our force, our energy in the community And also, when people come looking for help, they don't have to get the runaround. Oh, well, you should really be over here. You should really be over there. But a true one-stop shop for the big picture and a one-stop shop for any individual that feels like they need our help. And so I'm very excited. I see York Foundation represented here, as always, a supporter of innovation and new ideas like this. Elliot Weinstein, I believe part of this was, I mean, it's his building. Let's give a hand for that. He's donating. He is donating space for us to be able to do this, and it also brings. While we do want a county-wide human relations commission, we do not yet have it, but this brings our York City HRC back into the city of York, makes it walkable for folks from all around the city who need help, but also, again, expands the services by bringing all these different folks together. So it's a very exciting time for the York City Human Relations Commission, and I'm glad you are all supporting us at this time. Thank you.
So next we'll have Commissioner Rhodes. We're going to do a little activity. I know, just what you wanted to do at dinner, right? A little activity. Commissioner Rhodes is going to come and explain the dynamics of the activity, and then we'll do the activity a little bit later in the evening. But you're going to learn because we want you to start thinking about the questions in the activity. This is going to be an extension of for some of us, an extension of a school day. Okay, you ready for it? Yes. All right, eager faces out there on the learning.
How's everyone? And those of you who know me know I love a good exercise, and this is going to be a good one. Instead of just having you sit and be idle and just listen to us talk to you all night, we're going to get you involved. And what we want you to do at your table, as you're eating, instead of idle chit-chat, I want you to think about what it is to be an other. What experiences have you had? How did it make you feel? Now, we've got some crayons and some paper on the table if you want to draw it, if you can't express it. But remember, this is perceptive, so there's no real wrong answer. If it made you feel uncomfortable, that's enough. Everybody with me? That's all it means. So we want you to give those experiences. Make sure. Now, one thing I always have a pet peeve about when we do these group exercises like this, everybody at the table doesn't get the chance to talk. We want everyone at the table to have an opportunity to speak. Okay? So don't monopolize the time. Your story might be great, but just cut it for a little bit and let everybody else have a few minutes. All right? So just while you're eating, nice chew and chat. Talk about these things that have been different in your life. Here's the 3 questions again. Let me give them to you. Please share, in other words, your experiences of being an other. How they made you feel excluded or included. How the experiences made you feel. How did it affect your life? Did it make you change how you see people? Did it make you change things that you've done? And also, did anyone help you? Was there an ally? Did somebody come to the rescue to make you feel a little better? Were you that little boy or that little girl that sat outside the group watching everybody else play a game because they didn't want you to play? How did that make you feel? How did that affect you? We want you to talk about those things. And also, what could you have done to make somebody that you've seen in that position feel better? One thing about this, one thing I know, we've all had this experience. So there should be some great conversation going on during dinner. Is there any questions? Comments? Speeches? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rhodes. At this time, we'll have our invocation from the pastors of the House of Reconciliation Church, Pastors Alex and Yahida. I'm working on my Spanish, I really am. I'm sorry. Yahida Alvarado. Close, right? Yes. Good? Okay. All right. Thank you.
we pray.
Señor, te damos gracias.
We thank you, Father God.
Hemos entendido que tú eres nuestro Padre eterno,
We have understood that you are eternal Father,
que tú eres el Dios de toda la creación
that you are the God of all creation
y Dios de toda carne.
and God of all flesh.
Estamos aquí reunidos en tu nombre
We are here united in your name
para bregar con los asuntos de la humanidad.
to speak of the works of the humanity.
Señor, te pedimos que aumentes la sabiduría
We ask you to give us wisdom
y que nos bendigas de manera especial.
and to bless us in a special way.
Señor, en estos momentos queremos presentar a las personas que hicieron el alimento.
Father God, we want to present to you those that prepare the food,
Queremos pedirte que tú les bendigas de manera especial.
for you to bless them in a special way.
También te pedimos por aquellos que no tienen en estos momentos,
We also ask for those that do not have,
entendiendo que tú diste una promesa
understanding that you gave us a
que
promise
tú nos ibas a dar el pan de cada día.
that you will give us our daily bread.
Suple a aquellos que no tienen.
We ask you to give to those that do not have.
Acuérdate de ellos.
Remember them,
Y asimismo también te damos gracias
and we thank you
por el alimento que vamos a estar ingiriendo.
for the food that we're going to be eating.
Señor, bendice en el nombre de Jesús.
Bless it in the name of Jesus.
Amén.
Amen.
I want to take a few moments to introduce Tamika Hatchard. She is our representative from the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission. She's Administrative Officer 3, Educational Outreach Police Training Program Coordinator. And she's also our representative for the York County Task Force that we have on human relations. So without further ado, she will give us some information about what's going on in the county. And please give a warm welcome to Tamika Hatchard. Good evening. Thank you, Karen, and thank you to the York City Human Relations Commission for the invitation today. I bring you greetings from the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission executive offices in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where the executive director is Chad Dion Lassiter, and the chairman of the board is Joel Bostein, attorney at law. PHRC has been doing quite a bit of work over the last year in the area of York City, and I see that I was sitting at the table having a nice dinner with Mayor Helfrich, and we want to thank him for being so hospitable and for opening up the doors to the city and inviting us to come in and do the work in this space. In terms of our relationship with the York City Human Relations Commission, it is an onstanding and an ongoing one, and so many of you who are actually commissioners on the York City Commission are also members of our York County Advisory Council to the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission. Thank you. Thank you. And simply put, what the York County Advisory Council to the PHRC is our eyes and ears in the community. And all of you who are doing this work around diversity, around equal opportunity, around fair housing, around the changing of the legislation to include additional protected classes, in particular LGBTQ, sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression into the STATE Act. You all are our workers and our what we call boots on the ground to help us get the work done throughout York County. So we want to thank you for that. As you're all well aware, York County is the home to Governor Tom Wolf, and it's also the home county to our new lieutenant governor coming in. So this is a county that is well versed at the state level in diversity and diversity issues and has been accommodating to those who are different or are othered, as the theme is this evening. But we also know too that we have seen quite a bit of issues over the last year for others who are perceived, for some who are perceived as others, starting with the Grandview Five, who were ejected from the golf course back in May, I believe that it was, in addition to the Klan flyers that we saw going out at the Regal Cinema right up the street, and as well as in Dover Township.
Also, too, we've seen racially motivated murder that took place in York County out in Pelham Township of a young man by the name of Chad Merrill. So this is the type of things that we are working to prevent. And so by all of you who are actively engaged in this work, it goes a long way in making a difference. Even if it's a dinner like this, if it's a workshop that you're providing, if it's a town hall, it goes a long way in changing the demographics and letting people know that hate is not welcome here in our state. So I just want to give you some statistics about the numbers of cases that we received here at PHRC in this last year that were docketed in York County. And I first want to give you a little bit of population diversity to give you a feel for who's in the county and what's going on. Population diversity, the general population diversity nationwide, or like countrywide, we have here, in Pennsylvania, is African American, 11%, other, 7.6%, Latino Hispanic, 6.6%. And York County runs consistent with that. The numbers for Latino Hispanic are 6.6, persons who identify as ethnically other, 5.2, African American, 5.8, and the remaining numbers are race white individuals. The unemployment rate in Pennsylvania, the average unemployment rate is 4.1%. And I'm proud to report that York County runs slightly lower than that at 3.8%. So if the average is roughly 4, just over, York County is just a little bit below the Pennsylvania state average. So that is a good thing. In terms of the number of cases that were docketed in York County at the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission, we saw this year for the period of January 1, 2018 through December 31st, 2018, we saw 24 employment cases that were docketed in York, 5 housing cases, 1 public accommodations case, and 3 education cases, for a total of 33 cases that were docketed in calendar year 2018. Now, I give you those figures vis-a-vis what we had for state fiscal year 16-17. Those numbers, number of employment cases we had docketed in York were 61, housing cases 0, public accommodations 3, commercial property 0, and education 1. So there was a total York County number of complaints 65, number of complaints docketed now 33. So there is a significant difference, and I'm hopeful that that is due to the work that you all are doing right here in the county, and also too perhaps in the city too. It might be because people are coming to your local agency to file complaints as well. That might be a very good reason why our numbers have gone down at the state. But what we are hoping is that eventually at some point in time, we will work ourselves out of this, that we get to a point in time, our dream and our hope is that we get to a point where we no longer need to be in business to file discrimination complaints. And so that is the hope that we are working towards. What the PHRC, and I'm sure because I've seen many of you at our series of town halls that we have been hosting over the last couple of months, we've started a series called No Hate in Our State. And we came to York County for multiple reasons, several of those that I mentioned earlier, the high profile cases that we've been seeing in the newspaper, but also because York was a place that was ripe for and open to wanting to abolish these types of things. So we started our town hall series here in York. And on January 31st, we will be holding the third of 3. Our first was held September 26th in the city at the Crispus Attucks Center, followed by the second that took place just last month on December 20th at the Manheim Township Building. And the final town hall will be held on January 31st at the Pelham Fire Hall. That particular event, it will be, instead of a panel discussion, it will be more of a town hall open discussion in the space of healing for the township of Pelham, who is dealing with the racially motivated murder of Chad Merrill 6 months in the aftermath of that. So what does that mean? What has happened? What does it mean? What does it do to a township, a small township, when you have a young person, 25 years old, at a local tavern, sitting at a bar just having a drink with his friend. Two men who just happened to be of different races, one African American, one white, both the same age, both having young families, just working and doing what young people do. And for a person to be killed because of racial animus, how does that tear the town apart? We're looking at, these are people who know each other. They knew each other. Probably somebody's cousin's grandmother works together at the grocery store. We all frequent the same, the taverns and those kinds of things. So how is that township recovering after an event like that was so traumatic and catastrophic? So that is why we'll be holding our final town hall there. But even after we conclude our town hall series, I continue to encourage all of you here in the city, and as you are looking to perhaps expand your work out in the county or our York County Advisory Council, I encourage you all to continue to be robust in your efforts to eradicate unlawful discrimination in all of your spheres, everywhere that you go. Invite you to speak out against it. That's in your homes with your families. We just got over the holidays, which we all know is a time where people act out considerably. I had a family dinner last night, and my family's colorful too. You just never know quite what might come out of the mouth of one of your uncles. And so when you have, and that's the truth. And so when you have that, my challenge to you all is to speak up against that. If someone is saying something that is offensive, that it's biased, it's discriminatory, it's off color, and it not only shouldn't be said in polite company, but it just shouldn't be said at all. Speak up and speak out against it. We want to continue to reduce those numbers. We want to continue to create partnerships and alliances. We're very proud in York of the work that the Black Ministers Alliance has been doing with the York City Chiefs of Police all throughout the county. All the different township police officers and boroughs, including the city, have been working together with the Black ministers very quietly for the last 2 years to kind of come together and work on the topic of police and community relations and trying to improve that. And they've been doing an excellent job at that. So I thank you all for the work that you do. You really, truly are our arms, our eyes, and our ears, our feet out in the community. And we need you, and your work is important. Those of us who are what we call social justice do-gooders, sometimes we feel like, well, we're not seeing any results, or maybe the numbers aren't going down quite as quickly, or things are still happening that discourage us. But each time that we are reducing even one, each time that we stop one person from losing a housing opportunity, from each time we get a young person in a job who perhaps would not be hired at a place, each time we prevent a young person who is struggling with their identity in school from committing suicide, we're doing a very good work. So continue on with that work. And last, I'll just leave you with the thought of, we ask about what does it mean to be the other? And I have my mother here with me, and I've been for a very long time, even before I started working professionally, I've always was open to different experiences and leadership opportunities in school and in high school and college. And so I remember I got chosen to be a part of the Hugh O'Brien Leadership Outreach Program. And I was in that, and I was going to a student exchange program in Erie, Pennsylvania at McDowell Senior High School. And I think I was a sophomore in high school at the time, so I was not more than 15 years old. And quite honestly, anymore now, I don't know that I would send my child across the state to a place that might perhaps be hostile to them because of their identity or they're different. And so I really wanted to go, and I was honored to be accepted into the program. And so talked to my mother about it, and she said, well, okay, I'll let you go, but I have to call the people. So she called the parents of the host family that I was going to be staying with, and she said to them, are you aware, you do know that my daughter Tamika is Black, don't you? They were like, yeah, we know that she's Black. It's okay, And it sounds funny, and it seems like a silly question, but we're talking about, this was the late 80s at the time. And those were the kind of questions that needed to be asked. And unfortunately, there's still the questions that need to be asked. And now even in the type of era that we're seeing in schools, where kids are carrying swastika flags and giving white power salute and telling kids to run for the border and go back home. And your dad's not going to be in the house tonight when you get home because ICE is going to pick him up and he's going to be deported, those kinds of things. It is important for kids to be comfortable in their educational environment and to be able to have diverse experiences across the board all over the state. So continue the good work that you do, be encouraged, and know that your labors are not in vain. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Worthwine.
This is the main portion of our program. Our annual dinner is called our Diversity Dinner, but the focus of our City of York Human Relations Commission is far more than that. We're about confronting many types of discrimination so that our entire community is diverse, inclusive, and respectful of differences for all of its residents. This evening is a serious discussion and presentation about experiences, feelings, and action. How do you think of yourself in relationship to other people? If you are a member of the predominant cultural group, how do you view and treat others who are not? Our two speakers tonight will share their experiences and feelings of being viewed and treated as the other, what they were able to do about it, and what other people did to offer them help and understanding or hindered them. As you listen to these two speakers, ask yourself, what do we all need to do in order to create an ever-widening community of diversity, inclusion, and respect for each other? So our two speakers, you have their biographies in front of you. Arabia Khan, she's lived here for 12 years, and she is the Alumni and Board Development Coordinator at Leadership York. And following her will be Rosa Catterall, who has lived in York for 21 years. She's a psychotherapist and social worker using art therapy in her work.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm just going to share a little bit about how it feels to be an outsider in York County and in America in general. I'm sure everyone here has experienced moments when they felt like an outsider at some point in their life. Maybe it was when you started a new school or a new job, or when you were a guest at a dinner party where you didn't know anyone. Being the new person often means everyone knows each other, but nobody knows who you are. Our experiences of feeling like an outsider may not be completely similar. What's a temporary discomfort for many people is sometimes a constant for many minorities. We often wonder why that feeling doesn't go away, despite our best attempts to assimilate. For me, that's just part of everyday life in a small town like York. Despite having lived in America for so many years, people never fail to let me know that I'm an outsider. It's suggested every time they ask where I'm from. And York City is never the answer they're expecting. I see the confusion in their eyes, the desire for me to continue, so I tell them where I was born, London, England. I usually get a fake smile, and then before they can say anything, I like to tell them that I also lived in New Jersey and Philadelphia before moving to York. Then they try to get clever and ask me where my parents live. And when I reply, oh, Manchester, York, just a few minutes from me, the agony on their face is so amusing that I feel obliged to add that my grandmother lives in York too, with my parents. And then finally add that, well, my uncles, they live in Lancaster, just in case they're curious. I continue by telling them that my mother was actually raised in London, England, and that we moved to America when I was in middle school. By this point, I start to feel sorry for them, and I give them what they ultimately wanted to ask. Why are you brown? Or the politically correct version, what is your ethnicity? It's not a racist question. It really doesn't offend me either. I get it, because I'm a curious person too, and often wonder which European country many white Americans' ancestors came from also. But the difference lies in the implication behind the question, that I can't truly be American because I don't look like one. In England, I didn't qualify as truly British either, despite having been born and raised there. I know I haven't been in this country long enough to be an unhyphenated American, and wonder how many generations it took before white Americans stopped calling themselves Irish American, German American, or English American. I know I will always be viewed as a Pakistani, Indian, British, American, no matter how long I live here, and I'm honestly fine with all my hyphens. I think they make me sound kind of interesting, even though I'm really not. I'm just your average single woman who spends a lot of time searching for something to watch on Netflix, with her cat cuddled up next to her on the couch, and my bowl of ice cream melting on the side table because there's actually never anything new to watch on Netflix. But my foreign-sounding name, my obviously Asian appearance, my slight British accent are all dead giveaways that I'm not really from here. But what sets me apart the most, and from most people in York, isn't just my ethnicity. It's my religious affiliation. It doesn't matter if I wear Western-style clothing or don't wear the headscarf, if I listen to Western music or speak English without an Eastern accent, or buy all made-in-America products, because I'm still viewed as a threat to many Americans. Islam has been called a cancer by several senators. Muslim bans have been ordered by the president of this country that I am now a citizen of. Wars have been waged against countries that I have ancestral ties to. Refugees have been turned away simply because they follow the faith that I follow. Laws have been enacted to protect Americans from all Muslims, not just the bad guys, who I hope you know don't make up the majority of the 1.7 billion Muslims around the world. Having to prove your religion doesn't promote or condone violence is exhausting. I often feel like handing off the torch to someone else, but there aren't many of us in York who are willing to do or feel comfortable doing this work. Having to defend yourself 24/7 puts you in fighter mode 24/7, and you end up feeling disenfranchised and misunderstood at times. My religious identity can make me feel like another in America because it's been classified as uniquely violent, even though that's not what I was taught growing up. Islam is a religion with over 1.5 billion, mostly peaceful followers, but it was hijacked on 9/11 by a small minority that seek vengeance and retaliation, even amongst their own people. But why do only radicals from the Middle East get all this negative attention? Why aren't they classified as mentally ill or lone wolves when they carry out an attack? Many Muslim Americans find it ironic that we live in a country with the highest rate of gun violence out of all industrialized nations around the world, with politicians who pride themselves on Christian values, yet who refuse to pass laws to prevent mass shootings in schools, and instead work with gun lobbyists and continue to increase funding for endless wars and invasions. I live in a country that promotes the fear of Islam and Muslims and makes us out to be others who cannot be trusted. And yet I know the acts of violence and terrorism aren't unique to only radicalized Muslims or people in Far Eastern nations. But politicians would rather you fear people coming into our country with drugs and guns rather than focus on preventing the drugs and guns that are freely flowing within our borders. But if they don't vilify us, how will they justify their wars and their invasions overseas? Fear-mongering and blaming our problems on others from across the border and from foreign lands is not unique to American politics. We are currently seeing the same fake news being spread in Europe, which has become the main reason for the Brexit vote. And I was going to move back there after the election, and then they had the Brexit vote. But in America, it's almost as if they want us to think that children being shot in schools at an average rate of almost one mass shooting a day is nothing to fear, which is why it doesn't warrant a change in our laws. It's just something we have to learn to live with. But when one brown man tried to get through airport security with a bomb in his shoe, we all had to take our bloody shoes off. But when the same assault rifles become known as the weapon of choice for American mass murderers, lawmakers' hands are suddenly tied to remove these weapons from society. So how can I not feel like an outsider when my own country's government and its elected officials ignore our own homegrown terrorists and tell us that people who look and pray like me are to be feared and banned and don't belong here? How can I prove that Muslims aren't here to take over the West and that we aren't the greatest threat to America's freedom? I'll tell you how. First, I listen. I listen to the lies being spread about my faith and our foreign invasions, and I counter them with the truth. I listen to the irrational fear-mongering and fake news being spread by politicians and their followers, and I respond with facts and reason. Unless the internet trolls get the best of me and I end up awake way past my bedtime, furiously responding to every rant, which I will later try to delete if I can find the thread in my newsfeed. I speak out against blatantly Islamophobic laws by meeting with my local senators and representatives. I submit op-eds to my local newspapers to denounce the hatred and bigotry I see. I attend marches and form unions to create allies. I join interfaith groups and work with people from all faiths and no faiths, all races and all sexual preferences to prove that there is strength in solidarity and unity. And I refuse to be labeled un-American and unpatriotic due to my political dissent. I also refuse to give up on the hopes and dreams of people who came before me, who faced similar or worse injustices and lived during decades of legalized state-sanctioned cruelty. But the most important thing I do is I vote. And I ask you all to do the same, because last week I realized that while we were witnessing the historic swearing in of so many women in Congress, and especially women of color, and upon seeing the first Muslim women take their oaths on the Holy Quran, I knew that in that moment, that my feeling like an other wouldn't last forever. Because these diverse group of women, they're going to help make America great. Thank you.
So, hello. Hello. Can everyone hear me? Okay. My name is Rosa Luz Catterall, and I'm here to talk to you about my journey as an immigrant growing up in the United States. My motivation in doing this is to hopefully connect with you on a human level, as well as show you my determination to succeed and pursue my parents' dream for a better life. This dream is one I'm sure was shared by the ancestors of many people in the audience, whether the immigrant's journey was on the Mayflower or in a later period due to famine, political persecution, religious freedom, or many other factors. We are a country of immigrants. I was 9 years old when I arrived in New York City from my native country of Peru. I felt like I was going to a magical land where the sidewalks were made of gold. All I knew as a child was that we were reuniting with my father, who we had not seen for about a year. I was excited to be together again, but I felt sad that I would no longer see my friends, my extended family, or my dog anymore. There was nothing I could say or do but trust my parents that they knew better. I would hear them speak of new opportunities that would open up for my family, but nothing really prepared us for the shock of having to live in hiding because we were undocumented. For approximately 10 years, we lived in neighborhoods that were too dangerous to be found. My parents worked 2 or 3 jobs that required long hours and very little sleep. Their strength was fueled by their hope for a better future for their children. So my dad worked cleaning floors, making and delivering pizza, and my mom worked as a seamstress in a garment factory. They worked hard and they paid their taxes. We patiently waited for that one day when our status would be legalized. After approximately 10 years of waiting for a family member to become a citizen, we were able to obtain legal status in the United States. Once I was defined by my status of being an illegal alien, living in silence with the constant fear of being deported. I knew that my life was here in the United States. I was 19 years old when my status was legalized. It meant I could move forward in my life and pursue my parents' dream, that I would go to college and have a career. It's ironic that a piece of paper allowed me to define myself as a human being and no longer an alien. I could make my own choices, vote, and no longer be in hiding. We're living in a time when so many people are feeling marginalized because of their faith, gender orientation, color of their skin, or legal status in the United States. It is important to not lose connection with our humanity and to see our neighbors, friends, fellow parishioners, co-workers as human beings, not as aliens. There are so many people who came to the United States as undocumented children, and this is the only country they know as home. Some of these children are now young adults and are seeking to live their lives fully by going to college, finding employment, and contributing to society. As of 2012, under the Obama administration, a policy was introduced referred to as Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, DACA, allowing these children a renewable permit for 2 years, which defers action from deportation and allows them to be eligible for a work permit for 2 years. Unlike the proposed DREAM Act, it does not offer a path to citizenship. The DACA policy is now in jeopardy of being terminated. Presently, there are many DACA recipients who are not able to speak freely and live in fear that any day they can be deported and lose everything they have. Now people are told that they need to go back to their country of birth, to a land they're not familiar. You may wonder why I'm telling my story when my legal status is presently stable. Well, you see, there are many young people who came to the United States, just like me, and they live in fear of being deported or have been detained and separated from their parents. They're not able to speak. Some are in a state of shock and horror that they have been separated from their loved ones. My desire in sharing my journey as an immigrant is to engage the community on a human level, and to not forget that what is at stake is our ability to have compassion and remind everyone of our roots as immigrants, unless you are a Native American Indian. My identity as a Latina has gone through many phases: a 9-year-old undocumented immigrant, a student, a legalized citizen after 10 years, a college student, as well as a graduate student, a mental health clinician, a colleague, a wife, a mother, an artist, and now a concerned citizen. Throughout each stage of my growth in the United States, I had the opportunity of meeting caring teachers who have taught me the power of patience, history, and hope. Whether it was my 3rd grade teacher, Mrs. Wilkinson, who took the time to teach me English even before ESL was put in place. My 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Haynes, who taught me the importance of learning about Black history, including slavery and the Civil Rights Movement. And my 6th grade teacher, Mr. Fisherman, who honored me with an award for scholarship and encouraged me to trust my ideas and imagination through my writing and drawings. My middle school teacher, Mrs. Mann, taught me about the Holocaust and how important it is to be informed and learn from history so that history does not repeat itself. School was my safe haven to a certain point, but I could not share my legal status. Somehow, I had not realized the extent of my secrecy until a recent high school reunion. As I was talking to 2 of my closest school friends, I realized that neither one knew that I was undocumented while attending elementary, middle school, or high school. Their surprise at this knowledge made me realize how well I hid this secret. If revealed, it could have meant deportation from the United States. I realize now that I allowed my closest classmates to see part of me, and the other part was always in hiding. When I was a senior in high school, I dreaded the possibility that I would not be able to go to college. It was that time that laws were becoming more strict regarding legal documentation in higher education. When I was informed that my legal status had been stabilized, I felt great joy and a sense of relief. I felt free to fly and spread my wings. I could pursue my dream for higher education. I felt visible and free to be myself. I am continually challenging others by my presence. Where do I fit in? Who are you? You have an accent. Is it from New York City? Hispanic? Who does she think she is? I don't get turned off by people's confusion or awkwardness. I challenge them. Hopefully, growth happens. I want to let people know that I'm human and unique, just like everyone else. I try to fulfill all my roles as a mother, wife, friend, neighbor, colleague, professional, but among all those roles, I can't let anybody forget that I'm human and we are all God's children. I am not just this face, color, or accent. I also feel, think, cry, laugh, disagree, and get angry. And I speak up. The struggle is very present, and the fear of persecution and deportation for many people is very real. I have also been amazed at the unity and courage of our community, people who are ready to stand up and show compassion for our brothers and sisters who are vulnerable. Through my work as an artist and as an art therapist, I share my love for my faith, my family, and my culture. I try to capture light in my paintings because I experience hope, which guides me through my life. My desire is to connect on a human level with the community. It is why you will see me doing art through plein air, outdoor painting in the community, working with kids in schools or in summer programs such as Art in the Park, facilitating groups of survivors of trauma, whether it's in a community center, mental health program, or in the prison. I envision myself to inspire others to find their strength within themselves and celebrate their own creativity and uniqueness. You see, I am your neighbor. Thank you.
How's everybody? They were good, weren't they? I think another loud applause. I really enjoyed that. Okay, where's Miss Martinez? I need you. That way you can take this around because I can't run too.
Okay.
Yeah. You guys had a homework assignment, right? A dinner assignment, homework assignment, but you had an assignment. It was simply to hear everybody at your table speak about the others in their lives, what experiences they had. Did you all do it? Yes. Show of hands, be honest. Yeah. little weak, but all right. What we want to do though, after you've heard our speakers and they've done a fantastic job and they really laid it out for us about being the other, we want to hear what you talked about. If you're willing to share one or two of your stories from your table that made an impact on you, that made some difference. So what I want you to do is raise your hand and Ms. Martinez will come around and let us know what you talked about. What impacted you? What made you think about this? Oh, Lord.
We didn't write anything down here. We talked about living in a small community like this and the impact that had on our student, person living in the community, working in the community. Now there was different role models in this town helping overcome that obstacle, especially when we went to the black schools, teachers, and her husband Claire Sexton and others.
It's good. Good. Anybody else?
So for mine, I actually drew a picture.
You drew a picture? You know what? We didn't think anybody was going to draw a picture.
And basically, in my picture, it's me when I was in elementary school, and I have kids in an orange tree and some green mountain. I'm green, very good. And I'm not with anybody else. I don't have any friends on my side. A lot of times when I was younger, that's how I felt. I felt very isolated and, that I couldn't really make friends and things like that. And I got picked on often. For no reason most times, and it made me feel very inadequate. And, feeling like another, like an outsider, made me pride myself on including others and being accepted.
So you went from being excluded to being an includer. That was great. Thank you. Anyone else? This side of the room a little quiet. Oh, Dr. Worthwine has one. Oh, if you want to. We're a free and open group.
Okay. I was Unfortunately, I was told that I had my tie tucked in. How to do that so I don't stain my ties? Well, this has to do with acceptance in families. My family was not very accepting when somebody married into the family. So my wife noted that right away, and she said, "You're going to have to speak up for me. Your parents don't treat me equally like everyone else," and they did that to other people married into the family. So I had to screw up my courage and speak to my father, and it made a big difference. My wife was not someone that you could ignore, and it made a big difference in the family thereafter. And when I was dating Wiki, I'm of a German background. She's primarily of an Italian background. The Italians did not trust Germans at all, based upon what happened during World War II. So once again, once they met me, it made a big difference. As a matter of fact, it was a matter of getting to know someone, and then you judge them far differently.
Okay. Anyone else? Anybody that's traveled?
At our table, we talked about how really the other takes so many forms. So none of us can say we haven't been the other. But I was struck by how, I guess, as a white woman, like for me, the times that stand out in my mind were times when I was the only white person in a huge crowd of black athletes at the Penn Relays, and I was teenage girls. So that really struck me, stuck with me. But Dr.
Gunther Smith,
Pamela Gunther Smith, president of New York College, mentioned, the phenomenon of being a science major and a female, and what that's like. And I know many of you can relate to that. And I think there were some. You get yours.
Well, being in the art department at your college, I was allowed to wear a turtleneck when everybody else was wearing ties. So I felt exceptional.
Anyone else? Anybody that's traveled, found yourself in another country or town?
I wasn't going to, and we didn't talk about this, but because I can see the location of the incident from here, I'm going to speak up on something. And I think as a white male, people kind of place white males in the place where they're not facing the other, being the other. And so by my own choice, I used to have hair down to here. And if you don't think that made you the other, back in the '60s, what was the movie that they got killed down in the South? Motorcycle guys. Easy Rider. Being around here in the '80s and '90s, I always felt like I was in Easy Rider. It was still the, you long hair, what are you doing? And I came back. I was very good friends with Stan Rebert's daughter over here living in Farquhar Estates. And I came driving back in my van that I had purchased in California, so it had California plates on it, with hair down to here. I got pulled over by a fire engine. I got pulled over by a fire engine and told that I didn't belong here. So there are ways that some of us that may look like we couldn't have understood at least a little bit of what you might have gone through some things, and hopefully make us more empathetic.
I'm coming.
Oh, back in the corner. Evening.
I'm Judy Ritter Dixon, and I'm calling my whole table out. They were back there talking about all the differences and the injustices that they felt while they were growing up. And I took one of the quotes from Color Purple. It's like, all my life I had to fight. I'm a black woman from York, Pennsylvania, but always had to deal with the injustices, and even now. But all the other ones, Val, Janisa, Sandy, Brandon, Dawn, and even my good friend here, Mike, had injustices, except Mike felt that he might have just had white privilege because he didn't understand all the other things that we went through or are going through even now. I mean, things have changed, but they haven't changed to the point where we don't feel those injustices.
The one thing we don't talk about often is the physical toll that racism and hate and differences takes on you. It constantly wears you down. You're always feeling as though you can't relax, you can't be yourself because you got to get geared up for the next fight for the next day. Frustrated. Anyone else?
Travel story. So my youngest brother just got back a few days ago from Ghana for a graduate school fellowship. He's an educator and he's in a PhD program. So he was going there to study urban education in Ghana. So he's from here, relocated to Atlanta. He's studying at the University of Georgia in Athens. He's a teacher, and so taking the drive, the commute from Atlanta to Athens every day has to kind of go through a strip of country road where he has been repeatedly stopped by the police and they're asking him, well, what are you doing out here? And he's wearing a badge like this that says University of Georgia, and another maybe that has like his school on it. He's like, I'm a teacher, I'm a graduate student, I'm going to class, like clearly. They ask him things like, do you have any drugs on you? Do you have any large amounts of cash on you? And he's thinking, I'm a broke teacher. I took all the money I had just to pay for my fellowship to go to Ghana and study. But what he found when he got to Ghana, being a black man in a country that is majority black, he said it was like a feeling that he never experienced here in America, to be able to walk around in a place where everybody looks like you. Nobody is challenging you because of the way that you look. And even intra-group dynamics, so he said, like, as a young black man in this country, and living in, particularly in a place like Atlanta or even in a city like here, you're looking like, okay, well, somebody's gonna come at me, or are you gonna challenge me? He said, so I'm walking down the street and there's five young brothers. He said, so in my mind, I'm already conditioned to think, okay, well, what's up? Is this gonna be adversarial? Are you gonna try to fight me? And he said, there was none of that. Everyone's like, hello, brother, how are you? No, none of the American wealth politics or dynamics, who has money, who doesn't, just community. He said it was a very, very different experience. And also too, natural resources of wealth. Like he went to some of the slave encampments, like on the beach or the shores where you can take off before they would come to America. They talked about the natural resources and the richness in the land, like there's gold in the rivers. And there's nobody out there trying to pan for it, trying to steal the gold because it's worth money. It's just there, and it's just a part. It's theirs. It belongs to the people, and no one's trying to rob the land. And that's a very, very different mindset from what we're used to here in America. So I was fascinated by that, and I look forward to the opportunity to know him myself.
That's great. Thank you. I wanted to tell you, my daughter she's a nurse, and she went on a little missionary trip in Africa. And they went to a couple villages, the places, to help heal kids and operations. And she said when her and her white nurses got off the plane, everybody ran to the white nurses and left her standing there. And she was going like, hey, and they just went like, shoo, 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 shoo. They didn't even understand that she was American, that she had a position. They're not used to seeing blacks in that area, that position at that time. Once they found out she was American, then she couldn't get them off her back. But that was more of a thing as far as color was more of her, where you're from. So it was a difference for her. We want to wrap this up because I know you guys want to get to these beautiful awards. I want to thank you for participating in our exercise. This is something different that we wanted to do to get you involved in the process of a banquet. I know you've never been in a banquet that did this, huh? A little different. But we really enjoyed it. I love the information. I hope you got to know people at your table a little better. I hope you learned something from them. I've learned people from things at my table, and I've known those people at that table for a long time. But I've learned things because I've actually had a chance to listen to their story. So we want you to enjoy the rest of this evening. We're going to get to the award part, and I want to thank you again for participating in our exercise.
Well, 3 powerful women. Thank you. Thank you. thank you for making me look at the statement of making America great again in a different light. I needed that, so thank you. So, it's about that time. And with that stated, we're going to do things a little bit differently than one of my lists that I have up here. So I'm going to go by one. Hopefully we follow. Everyone can follow through along with my list. Recently, in 2018, at the end of 2018, I believe, both in December of 2018, York City lost two titans in the human relations, civil rights kind of genre. And we wanted to acknowledge their wives and their presence and their contribution to the community. For all of you who have a loved one or do any type of community service, what you will realize is it has to be somebody at home that holds it down, literally holds it down. You can't do that work without having someone, a partner, that helps you with this process. And although we have lost Ray Crenshaw and Claire Sexton, their wives are here, and we want to acknowledge them and thank them as a community for all that they allowed them to go out and do for us, because without them, we would not be where we are today. So thank you. So without further ado, I will get to the first one. If I can have Miss Dorothy Crenshaw come up. So today, Ms. Crenshaw, we are presenting you a certificate of acknowledgement. Presented to Ms. Dorothy Crenshaw in memory of Ray Crenshaw and his extraordinary contribution to civil rights and racial harmony throughout his lifetime of service to the York community. Thank you.
I'd like to thank all of you, especially the commission, for recognizing my husband. He just passed less than a month ago, and I still miss him very much. And thank you so much again for remembering him and loving him.
So next, if we can have Miss Pamela Sexton come up. Today, Mrs. Sexton, we want to acknowledge all that your husband has done for our community, and thank you. So our certificate of acknowledgement is presented to Ms. Pamela Sexton in memory of Claire Sexton for his passion and commitment to uplift others throughout his dedication to social justice in the York community. Thank you so very much.
I too would just like to thank all of you. Today was kind of a rough day for me, but I thank you for thinking about honoring my husband and the certificate. It's been 37 days. I counted it today. It's 37 days. He passed on the 3rd of December, and the 12th of December we would have celebrated 37 years of marriage. So it's been rough, but he loved this community. He breathed York City. He breathed the young people. So I'm just grateful that he was able to touch the lives that he touched, and that his life was not in vain. Thank you.
sometimes you have to take a moment when you see that and you feel that, and when you know that someone really did lay their heart out on the line for this city. And unfortunately, I didn't really know either of your husbands, but what I can say is when I didn't live here, Mrs. Sexton, your husband deposited into my child. So I will always be grateful. So thank you. So up next, we have our Community Service Award. I want him to stand up all day long.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Okay. This year's award for the Dr. Frederick D. Holliday Award for Community Service goes to a really good friend of mine. I met this young lady back in the YWCA, we ain't gonna tell how many years ago in case y'all try to count. But it was a while ago. But I had a youth program, a budding youth program, and it was, we needed gym space, we needed things. And as I went and talked to the YW, she never said no. She always had to try to find a way. We worked on a grant, got the gym redone. And believe it or not, no, you may think that's small, but that gave 60 young ladies in the city of York something to do. They were in that gym constantly. They loved it. They acted like it was their home. They didn't want the boys to even come in there and practice. But it was really her leadership and her vision of being an open place for the community to come that made it possible for us. So I have nothing but great memories of Jane. Every time we gotten together, she's always been sincere in her efforts. She's the one that started the Confronting Racism in York thing. She's always been in the forefront of doing something positive for the city of York, and we should be glad she's here. Because there's a lot of people that talk the talk but don't walk the walk. And if anybody I know that I can bet on Jen. She'll get it done. So this year's recipient is the president and CEO of the York County Community Foundation, Ms. Jane Conover.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you to the whole commission for all of the work that you're doing and for this honor. I really appreciate it. I do share this honor, though, with so many people in this room, and I'd like to ask everyone who's ever attended a Confronting Racism meeting to please stand, because it's a community-wide effort, and I want to thank you for your work. You know, we all believe that we are at a moment in time where there's a heightened sense of awareness about racism. There's a heightened sense of urgency for action. And I think there's also a heightened sense that an equitable and a welcoming community is really the future of our community. And so we're going to maximize this time, and we're looking to help create welcoming communities, welcoming schools, equitable economic opportunities for all. I'm excited, I'm hopeful, and I really appreciate everyone who's committed their entire lives really to this issue, because we're going to continue to move forward as a community. So thanks again for this honor. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jane.
Oh, man. I'm done now.
Okay. We're going to keep moving forward. Before we move forward, though, I feel that we need to make a few thank yous, and I want to thank some of our partners. One partner I want to thank by name. The other partners I'm going to thank by organization. Okay? I don't want anyone to feel slighted, but since we're in her house, I want to thank Dr. Gunther Smith from York College for their support and their partnership with us. Thank you. Of course, the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission, LHOP, although I lost where LHOP is sitting. Thank you, LHOP, the United Way, the York County Community Foundation, my morning partner, the York JCC. So, thank you. So I'm going to do little snippets of thank yous in between, all right, if that works. I'm going to now move into our Lewis Atwater Award. So Lewis Atwater Award is given to a high school senior who exemplifies the qualities which distinguished Lewis at the time of his untimely death. Lewis was a young man who attended York High School and played football. He had an incident on the football field and passed away. And his life was cut short. But he did so many other great things. So we take this opportunity now to acknowledge some of the seniors in area high schools that are doing great things in their schools and in their communities. We want to also let you know that this year, thanks to a generous contribution from WellSpan, we have been able to expand our recipients for this award. So this year we will have one from York High, one from another school in the city of York, and two from schools in York County. So that was how we chose the students. We received 11 nominations, and we have selected 4. So these students that we have selected are outstanding. The nominations were so very moving. It truly was a difficult task to whittle it down to 4. But we really want to also take the opportunity to thank WellSpan Health. So I have the honor of introducing a young lady that I kind of know a little bit. And I kind of know her because I've seen her around in the building, and she's super cool and really nice. And because I go and volunteer at William Penn periodically. Amaya Martin. If you can come up, I'm going to read your story. Amaya Martin is a senior at William Penn Senior High School, has been a leader in organizing support for the LGBTQ community at the school. She organized a day of silence at the school, a day of awareness of the effect of bullying and harassment of LGBTQ students. Her efforts included securing student speakers. She also spoke at the school's Black Pride Day. This young woman welcomes new students to the school. Active in the theater program, she uses the stage to help promote acceptance and diversity among her peers. She tries to include everyone in recreational activities and intervenes in cases of students being bullied because of sexual orientation. Because of her personal life challenges, Amaya has developed compassion for others and is motivated to help her peers whenever possible. She is a special young lady. Now, I'm going to tell you a story, a quick little secret, and I'm sure she doesn't want me to share this. But every other day I see Amaya, she really has, and I love it. She has a natural hair. So she is like fro girl, natural, beautiful hair. She's like, I'm not gonna wear my hair like that for the award. And I'm like, no, do it. I want to see the real you. But she came in here looking like glamour superstar. I think she thinks she was red carpet day, but we're okay. I love you still. I'm so proud of you. So Amaya, this is your award. It says the City of York Human Relations Commission presents the Lewis Atwater Award to Amaya Martin. Oh, sweetie. In recognition of outstanding dedication to and service in support of our goals of equity, harmony, and racial and social justice. And what we've also been able to secure for her, thanks again to WellSpan, is a $100 contribution to offset some of her costs of her senior year. So thank you, Amaya.
Thank you all so much.
You guys are all so inspiring, and you guys, I'm gonna be a leader for every single person in this room and everyone in the future, and I'm gonna make the difference. This is what.
Excuse me, if you're a senior in high school, where are you going to go to college? You should come, if you haven't already decided, come talk to us. We got a great place to
Who's not doing this? Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
It's like our babies. Oh.
There you go, and I'll pull yours up for you. Okay, our next student that is going to receive an award tonight is Sabine Harvey. Please come forward. Sabine is a quiet, confident leader in West York High School. Outside of school, Sabine is the captain of the local venture crew of the Boy Scouts. In this crew of females in a male-dominated organization, the young woman showed that females can achieve what men can and that collaboration serves both sexes. The crew works to empower the elderly as well as the LGBTQ community. Within school, Sabine is known as social justice warrior. She is a member of the Mother UN and a poet who shares her messages of equality and social justice. Sabine's social group includes those who feel they are misfits, and she gives them a home at school. This student's teacher says that Sabine is a human rights advocate who should be recognized as such, and tonight we are doing so. Tonight you're getting an award. The City of York Human Relations Commission presents the Lewis Award to Sabine Harvey in recognition of outstanding dedication to and service in support of our goals of equity, harmony, and racial and social justice. Congratulations.
Well, first I'd like to thank my family for supporting me throughout my entire mission, I would say, to become more educated in the world and the society that we live in. That's actually why I joined Model UN, so that way I could learn not only how the United States would react politically, but also how other countries would. And I believe that education throughout all of our lives and continuing to want that need to learn will forever increase the diversity that we have throughout not only the state but throughout the country and the world. Thank you.
She also gets a $100 monetary award for your
So as we have Commissioner Rivera on his way. On his way. Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Diversity dinner. Isn't everybody excited to be here tonight? I just want to preface by saying that I have lost some weight since Nicole Schaefer forced me to take that picture on that banner. My husband might disagree with me. He might call me a liar, but I have lost some weight. I want to thank a few people before we honor this young man. Norman Bristol, thank you for being here today. And Dr. G.S., you already were honored. And Keith Knoll, thank you for being here as well. So, according to his teachers, Keith White, a Central York High School senior, has made a silent impact for not only the transgender community, but for the students in similar situations. Through Keith's initiative, the district has streamlined procedures required for dealing with a student's intention to transition. Keith was one of the original founders of the high school's Unity Council. With this association, he has participated in countrywide training to encourage others in activities designed to promote social justice. He attended the York County YWCA Leadership Summit, Delta Gems, Embody Youth Mentoring Program, and the Student Central York Diversity Educational Committee. Through Keith's practice of speaking out against organizations which promote discrimination against anyone, he shows the qualities of being a powerhouse for change in the future. Keith White, thank you so much. The City of York Human Relations Commission presents the Lewis Atwater Award to Keith White in recognition of outstanding dedication to and service in support of our goals of equity, harmony, and racial and social justice. Thank you.
I just want to thank my teacher, Ms. Francis, for giving me this opportunity to get this award. She's not here right now, but she's been there for me ever since I was a freshman. She really supports me through everything that I do. When I first came to Central, I was in the middle of transitioning, and she just made things a lot easier for me. When my name was changed, like going to the bathroom and stuff, she really helped me. You know, being a transgender male in high school is not easy. You know, it's better now that I've been here for, you know, throughout high school, but, you know, it's really hard sometimes to sit in a classroom and try and get an education when, you know, you're just worried about everybody around you. Like, you feel like everyone's like staring at you, and I don't want transgender people or anyone going through Central to go through that. I felt that for a very long time, and it's not good, and I just want to help students coming into high school. You know, I don't want them to go through that. Bullying is just very hard to deal with. So I just want to thank everybody for this award. It really means a lot to me. Thank you.
Now, I know you only got a glimpse of them, right? But weren't they powerful? And we still have one more to do. So just imagine what it was like to read all of those submissions. These students are, just remember their name. Highlight it in your book because you're going to see it again. I'm telling you.
Okay, and our next student is Paola Almonte. Paola, come forward. Paola Almonte is a senior at Logos Academy, where she served on yearbook staff as a teacher's assistant and a handbell choir. She was born in York, and for years her parents owned and operated a small corner grocery store in the city. As part of the Y Readers program, Paola spent last summer volunteering and serving as a role model to younger members of our community who struggle with literacy. She is a member of the National Society of High School Scholars and plans to study sociology in college. This brief outline, however, does not do justice to Paola's contributions to serving social justice at Lagos. Her teacher says, a leader in our school, she regularly promotes understanding among diverse groups and is a voice for the marginalized. She uses her fluency in Spanish, muy bien, to encourage young English language learners. As a minority student, Paola's student ambassador speaks to key leaders about issues facing youth in our city. She was selected to be part of York City's Legacy program
And when hurricane relief for Puerto Rico became a cause, Paola helped to raise money. Says her teacher, Paola is a peacemaker, having been involved in peer mediation. And I applaud the fact that, and you laugh, but it's very important sometimes for our children to assimilate to a culture. Sometimes we think that it's best not to teach them how to speak Spanish because they have to go out to the world and be accepted. Having someone as young as her telling their peers that it's okay to be proud of who you are where you come from, and that it's okay to speak Spanish, and later on they will have much more opportunities to work because we need bilingual people. You're doing a lot of good. So I applaud that, all the efforts that you're doing, and I admire you more for being proud of who you are where you come from. So Paola, in recognition of outstanding dedication to and service in support of our goals of equity, harmony, and racial and social justice, and of course your $100 all for you. Congratulations.
Well, first of all, I want to thank my parents for supporting me here and being here today. And I also want to say thank you to my academic guidance counselor who pushed me and always supports me and always wanting me to be better as a person. I'm like a really shy girl and I don't really do these types of things. Like I get really nervous, but I'm kind of glad that I'm being pushed outside of my comfort zone, and I'm really glad that I'm here today with all of you. Something that I would like to say is just for like my Latinos or Hispanic people is just like don't be afraid of who you are or like your culture. Embrace it because like yeah, we may be facing some rough times right now, but it'll get better, and if we just embrace it and we're unified, I feel like it'll bring us together more. And so I just want to say thank you.
Okay, I'm getting ready to go off script again, and Dr. Ken is going to chastise me later, but okay. So, I want to make sure that we acknowledge and thank and provide a certificate of appreciation to our guest speakers this evening. Robert Kahn, that's you. In recognition of outstanding service to the New York community and providing a poignant message for the 2019 Diversity Dinner. Thank you. So if you can come on up. Thank you. Well, I guess I should show first. Well, I should have shown. Oh, you're welcome. Can I do one more, Dr. Ken? Okay, thank you. And this is our certificate of appreciation for Rosa Cotterell. So in recognition of your outstanding service for the York community and providing a message for the 2019 Diversity Dinner, thank you. I have one more to do, but I'm not going to do it now. The next we will have our small business presentation. I'm sorry. Our large business award of the year. By Commissioner Myers. Thank you. And I also want to take the opportunity to thank his wife, the lovely Nicole Myers, for being our photographer. Did you say that? For being our photographer for the night.
How's everyone doing this evening?
Enjoying yourselves? That's good. My name is Harold Myers. I'm the Commissioner on the City of York Human Relations Commission. I'm here tonight to give the Large Business Award to Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson York Vehicle Operations is located in Springsbury Township and is one of the largest employers in the county. With over 1,200 hourly and salaried employees working together to manufacture HD motorcycles, the company has prioritized the need for diversity and inclusion. With the closing of our Kansas City facility coming up this year, over 320 jobs were shifted from Missouri to Pennsylvania in 2018, with an additional 70 to 90 coming this year, when the manufacturing of all motorcycles will be consolidated at the York facility. Harley-Davidson has several initiatives to ensure inclusion in their hiring practices to assist with this transition. Two of these initiatives enacted in 2018 were ban the box during the application process and a pay equity directive for salaried employees. With the ban the box initiative, the question about prior criminal history was removed from the application. This allows the application to be processed without any unfair bias due to disclosure of this type of information. The equity pay directory has HD not asking for current salary information when preparing job offers. The job offers are based solely on the job description and the EMV, which is the ethical market value of the job. These factors set aside the race and or sex of the applicants and puts everyone on a fair foundation. With studies showing the discrepancies between men and women and white and non-white applicants, this initiative allows HD to set the example for fairness in hiring practices. For this reason, Harley-Davidson is being recognized by the City of York Human Relations Commission at the 2019 Diversity Dinner as the Large Business of the Year. The example that Harley-Davidson is setting is exemplary in the vein of diversity and inclusion, and the Commission is excited to award them for their efforts. I'd like to ask Ms. Teresa Kwai and Ms. Demetra Middleton to come up. So the City of York Human Relations Commission presents the Large Business Award to Harley-Davidson in recognition of outstanding dedication to and service and support of our goals of equity, harmony, and racial and social justice.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Harley-Davidson, for the last several years, Harley has been going through quite a bit of change as an organization. The news. This award really is an example of, over the last year or so, we've had the opportunity to do quite a bit of hiring. And this allows us to really ensure that our diverse and inclusive environment is seen at the best and highest possible level at Harley. So we are appreciative of the award, and we are continuing to work through a diverse and inclusive workforce. So please come apply at Harley, because
Yes,
we are
several
jobs. We are hiring. Thank you.
The next will be our Small Business Award.
So would everyone from WellSpan Family Medicine please come up here? Deb? The recipient of our Small Business Award for 2019 is WellSpan Family Medicine on Bannister Street. WellSpan Family Medicine on Bannister Street exemplifies our Commission's goals of seeking equity, harmony, and social and racial justice in all of its business and medical activities. With a 24-year sincere commitment to serving persons of all ethnicities, races, ages, and economic and social classes, this family practice provides extensive primary care medical services with a medical managerial and support staff that reflects the diversity of the patients they serve. The practice evolved with the help of Dr. David Jones. The practice evolved from Yorktown Family Medical Associates, founded by Drs. James Mulligan and Ken Worthwine in 1976 at 429 West Market Street, moving to a larger office in 1977 at 462 West Market, and was joined in partnership by Dr. Deborah McMillan in 1987. The practice entered the WellSpan Health System in 1994 at which time it was renamed Yorktown Family Medicine of WellSpan Health and moved to its present location on Bannister Street in West York in 1996. Let me just say that even though I was a member of this practice for many years, I was not the one who suggested that they receive this award. There are other commissioners who know of their practice, their commitment to serving all ethnicities, all economic groups, and with a very diverse staff. So, this reads, the City of York Human Relations Commission presents a Small Business Award to WellSpan Family Medicine, Bannister Street, in recognition of outstanding dedication to and service in support of our goals of equity, harmony, and racial and social justice, given on the 9th of January 2019, signed by Commissioner Karen Rollins Fitch.
Good evening. I'm not a public speaker, so I'm a little nervous. And I just want to say, on behalf of my Bannister Street family, thank you so much for this honor. I was truly surprised to receive this. I do this. This is something natural. I feel this is what we all should be doing. I take pride in serving who we are. Our practice has about 40 of us, and almost half of us is of diverse culture of different ethnicities. And our patient population, I would say about 66% of them, we serve the Medicare, Medicaid population. We do everything we can for our patients. Thank you so much. It's such an honor. Thank you.
Good evening. I probably know approximately half of the people in this room, but I am here today, and I'm just so thankful for the opportunity that was given to me as a person that was in that other group who felt they would never come back to the city of York because of the multiple issues related to opportunities for African Americans in York City. But through the persistence of Dr. Ken Worthwine, Dr. James Mulligan, they sought me out in North Carolina, where I thought I'd stay for the rest of my life, because believe it or not, I kicked and fought to go down south. I didn't want to go, but then when I got there, I didn't want to leave. But I thank them for offering me the opportunity. The atmosphere in which I came back to York and worked with them was that of freedom. They did not bind me. They didn't try to supervise me or whatever, but they gave me freedom to be the doctor that I needed to be. And I just thank them for also the opportunity to watch them as they cared for people of various diversities. And so I think not only do they talk the talk, I've watched their families. My children used to come home and say, boy, they have strange families, because their families are of all different ethnicities. And it was just amazing, not only just to see them talk the talk, but they walked the walk. And I always appreciate the opportunity they gave to me. Thank you.
Our next award is our Legacy Award, but before I have them begin, I'm going to do a few more thank yous. Remember I told you I was going to do that in between? Okay, so we're on the next few more thank yous. I noticed that we had representation from Representative Carol Hill Evans' office. James Sawyer was here. Also, I see our council president for York City and Judge Nixon are here. Okay, losing people. And then Councilwoman Ritter Dixon. Thank you. And School Board Director Lisa Kennedy. So thank you. Thank you for your support. Now on for our Legacy Award. This is a really special award for us this year. And he'll never say he's kind of deserving of this kind of stuff, but he truly is. He is a mammoth man doing mammoth work quietly all the time. Except he reads a lot, and he tries to get you to read a lot of books. So if you're not a real avid reader, Be aware.
She just stole my speech, aren't you glad? Is this working?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to add, there's also Councilman Henry Michael Buckingham here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can say that because he's my brother. Some of you are old enough to remember the advertisement, "He's not heavy, he's my brother." Anybody remember that? Well, I'm Commissioner Jean Buckingham, and I'm here to present the Legacy Award. If you're not familiar with tonight's Legacy honorees, reading the brief bio in the program should impress you with the worthiness of this couple to receive this recognition by the Commission. We hoped to make this award in time to honor both Ken and his wife, Wiki, publicly and in person. Wiki's death this past fall made our intention impossible. Dr. Ken Werthwein is present to accept this Legacy Award in both their names. The brief bios speak for themselves of lives dedicated to acknowledging and eradicating racism. Ken Werthwein has been a quietly persistent force for the elimination of racism in our community. He is present for every single effort towards equity and peace. He speaks out fearlessly against injustice. In his public and private lives, he models inclusion and justice. As a white ally, Ken challenges our assumptions of white privilege. In the years before the York City Human Relations Commission could appoint non-city residents, Dr. Werthwein supported our efforts financially and politically, always spurred on by Wiki's fervent commitment to the cause. The Commission is very honored to be able to offer this public recognition of two lives so well lived in the service of the ideals of our mission. Dr. Werthwein. The City of York Human Relations Commission presents the Legacy Award to Ken and Wiki Werthwein in recognition of outstanding dedication to and service in support of our goals of equity, harmony, and racial and social justice. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Well, this is quite an honor. I appreciate this very much. Wiki would have been very happy to have been here and to be recognized for the years of effort that she put towards working for inclusion and equity and social and racial justice. I'd like to introduce two of my family members who are here. My daughter, Amanda Pressel, and her daughter, her oldest daughter, Erica McCorton. When our family was first formed as both a homemade child and our adopted children, we were encouraged by the adoption agencies to educate them in their cultural background. So we took them to all sorts of places. And finally, one of our children, I think it was probably Mandy, who said, we just want to stay home and play with our friends. But once they went on to, in the school district that we lived in, once they went on to middle school and high school, they faced a lot of discrimination. Some of the things we were aware of, Wiki was probably more aware of them than I was, and I've only been finding out more about it as time goes by. So they faced very difficult times, and I'm sorry they had to go through these challenges, but it just is a recognition of what goes on in our country and in our community. Wiki was a very special person. I sincerely mean that. She was really committed to her beliefs. I found a couple of letters in which she described herself as being proud of being an activist for social justice and civil rights. If you were active in the community in the late 1970s to the early 2000s, you probably knew who Wiki was. She became ill in about 15 or so years ago, and she just couldn't continue to be active. So what she did, she encouraged me to go on. She was very supportive and encouraging of me. So what I would do is when I go to a committee meeting or some activity, I would come home and I'd share it with her, and we really enjoyed. We had a lot of discussions about that. Her activism primarily came from the friendships that she formed. She went out into communities that she wanted to be involved with. She formed friendships, and after talking with people, they decided we need to take action, and that's what they did. So you need to form friendships with people who are different than you, and then you will find out what you have in common and what needs to be done to change things. She was the one who's primarily responsible for bringing Dr. McMillan to this community. She knew her father, Dr. McMillan's father, Dr. Irvin Cottrell, and later became friends with the mother, Margaret. And because of that friendship, and there are at least 2 articles written in the newspaper following Deb through her medical school training and a residency and down to North Carolina. And she came to me, she said, "Ken, you've got to bring Deb up here and talk to her and see if you can get her to join the practice, and the rest is history." So I want to end with say a few words to the younger people here. The high school students are already doing it, and the people in their 20s and 30s. You need to be activists. You need to be involved. You need to help us address the problems that still exist in our community. Our lives are all about social justice, whether you think of it as not or not. It is. It's all about social justice. You need to find out what your passion is, and you need to discover your interests. We've reached a tipping point in this community where we have enough people who are willing to speak up, join together, and make a change. So we need your involvement. We need you to join us in our voices. An example of this is what happened with the Vigil Against Hate, which occurred at the end of October in this community. When the Tree of Life killings occurred in Pittsburgh, a day later, some email communications went out among people. The following day, there was a face-to-face meeting of people to plan for the Vigil Against Hate. And then one day later it occurred. So within 48 hours through social media and electronic communication, this all came about. About several hundred people met in the courtyard of the city hall. And it was a very moving event, including the governor and his wife came to it. So things can change happily by joining together. It's really important that we all support one another. So what are our values? Our values are inclusion, diversity, acceptance, respect for each other, fairness, impartiality, removing the barriers that keep us separated, and creating opportunities. And we need to spread these values to our children and our grandchildren. It'll make a difference. They need to know, you need to carry on these conversations at home, in your cars, at your meals that you sit together. You will change how they look at the world by having these conversations. So my final words are: get involved, stay involved, show up, speak up, you'll make a difference. Thank you.
You took mine. Thank you. Yep. Thank you. Here, you can have this one. You're gonna see something else. Stay up. Stay up. So, we're almost at the end. But I noticed that you notice I have one more up here, right? Yeah, I'm gonna go a little bit longer before I get there. I want to say thank you to Mr. Norman Bristol Cologne, or acknowledge his presence, PA Department of State, Special Assistant to the Director. Thank you. I also want to encourage you to look through our ad book and see those who have supported us. And when you're making decisions about what you need to do and what you need to purchase or where you need to go, support those who are willing to support this fight against racism. We have some special thank yous to our legacy sponsors, our community partners, and our advocates. So the Church and Dwight Company. I believe you're I see, I remember, thank you. Helixel, are they here? Oh, sorry. I apologize, because I really tried to get around and speak to everyone in the very beginning so I could kind of know where you were. Calzoy? Okay. Thank you. United Way of York County, we did mention them. WellSpan, York College of Pennsylvania, the York County Community Foundation, Fulton Bank. Gosh, I apologize. I didn't obviously get to that table. Lancaster Theological Seminary. I saw you in line. Wow. Okay. Leadership Arts, I know, is over on this side, right? Okay. And thanks, Commissioner. How about Rudders? I miss Rudders too. Thank you. Thank you for not making me have to go back over to that. I also need to tell you a few things about our staff, because none of this would be possible without our staff. So Joanna Ramirez is our full-time administrative intake support specialist. She's decided to join the military, so she's out on maneuvers. Go figure. But in her stead, Candy Boyer has stepped up and filled those shoes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Candy. This time last year, we had another young lady as our investigator. Well, 8, 9, almost 10 months later, we have a brand new spanking investigator, and I'm super, super proud of her because she's a young woman who graduated from William Penn Senior High School and York College. See, there you go, Sierra Ramos, thank you so very much. And I also have to acknowledge, in her, while we were we didn't have an investigator on staff, Mary Kay Rogers acted as our investigator and our solicitor. So thank you. And unfortunately, she's unable to attend this evening. So thank you to her. So a special thanks to, well, I did some of them already. West York Borough, because they have offered us housing instead when we didn't have housing in the city. Nancy Williams, she's the person who did the calligraphy on your awards. So Nancy Williams. Soji was our artist this evening, and he left. Well, he was free to go. So he was free to go. So, but I did want to say thank you to him. Once again, WellSpan Health for their generous gift to support the student awards. And so this means we're coming to the very, very, very end, because I'm going to give the last one. And I wonder if anyone can figure out who this is for. This is a certificate of appreciation presented to, let's see, Pastors Alex and Yahada. Did I do it right this time? They're really stressing me about my Spanish. Haida? Yahida.
Yes, perfect.
Yahida. Okay. I can't roll the R. No, I'm not. Okay, thank you. They're nice. They're nice to me. So in recognition of your commitment to equality in your community and providing the invocation for the 2019 Diversity Dinner, thank you. Thank you. All right, so here we are.
You want to say something about people seeing around who got the awards and have photos taken?
See, I told you he always corrects me. If you received an award, please stay around. Where would you like them to meet you?
Over there, that's right.
Over there is what I got.
Yes.
So, does everyone know who needs to stay around? Raise your hand. Why is nobody from Harley raising their hand? Thank you. I was about to say Harley did not raise their hand. Oh, Bannister people, you all have yours? Okay, okay. So once again, let me take the opportunity to thank all of you who have come out to join us at this 2019 Diversity Dinner. Thank you again for your support. Thank you to our phenomenal speakers. Thank you. We can clap for that. I want to thank the commissioners, but especially thank Commissioner Martinez, Commissioner Worthwine, and Commissioner Buckingham for our committee, our Diversity Dinner Steering Committee. Thank you for all of your hard work, all of the late night calls, all the nasty kind of gram emails. Thank you for being able to deal with me when I'm like, you want me to call you back? So, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Have a wonderful evening, a safe journey home, and we hope to see you all next year. Oh, wait, I forgot. You have a flower on your table. So the flower on your table is a small token. I want someone to take it home. I am thinking, I don't know what I'm thinking. We have to figure out a way to give the flower. But here's the reasoning behind the flower. I want you to know this. Whoever takes it home, think about the fact that you welcome somebody else to your table. Somebody that's the other. Make them feel included in your life. Make them feel included either in your home, at your job, somewhere. But someone else that's the other, because we all have them and we've all experienced someone that's the other or we've been the other. So make sure you are making a conscientious effort to be more inclusive. So think about that when you think about your flower. And let's see. Any get Rubik for how we should give this away? A birthday. Give me a birthday. Well, how about this? Let's do Martin Luther King's birthday, and the closest to Martin Luther King's birthday takes the flower home.